We have been following, and really even long before my show, Nicole and Dory Monson. This was a story they owned years ago. Gosh, this has been going on for a couple years now. Where a Port Townsend woman, 80 years old, one of her joys in life is swimming at the YMCA pool in Port Townsend. You know, like, come on. I mean, Nicole goes swimming at the pool. She's not 80, but she does exercises like an 80-year-old. What a simple joy in life, right?
I love the water.
Well, I love the water too. That's true. That's true. I just don't do water aerobics in the water.
I know.
Yeah. So simple joy for an 80-year-old woman. Hey, I like to go to the YMCA. I've got friends there. I've been doing this for years. I've been swimming. It's not laps at the at the pool at the YMCA. Until one day, she's in the women's locker room, as she should be. There's women in there showering. They're naked. Women's locker room, and a biological man comes in, a YMCA employee, who's, I guess, a transgender woman, but a biological man, very clearly so, and is in there with children and with women in the locker room naked. And Julie Jamin, this 80-year-old woman's like, hey, what are you doing in here? Essentially. And she had an issue with it. And without even talking to her, talking through like, hey, this is state law. We have to accommodate transgender individuals. Maybe we can find a different, like a private space for you if you're not comfortable with that. Nope. YMCA revoked her membership, banned her for life. So that happened. It was all over the news. And then we had Julie on the show a couple months ago because her and her attorneys had filed a claim with the city of Port Townsend, which basically YMCA operates this pool through the city. So it's kind of a city-owned pool. And the YMCA seeking damages, seeking an apology, and letting Julie go swimming again. Those were the things. And so we know that a claim is a precursor to a lawsuit. So they tried that route first, thought, okay, maybe everybody's come to their senses and they're willing to work through this and kind of, settle this before we go to a full-blown federal civil rights lawsuit. But no, Port Townsend, YMCA, they are not interested. So yesterday, a lawsuit was filed on behalf of Julie Jamin. Julie and her attorney, Eric Sell, joined us to talk about it. Give me an update on what has happened since the last time we had you both on from a legal perspective. I know there was a demand letter, so now we're going full-blown lawsuit.
Right. Well, we didn't ever actually hear from the city of Port Townsend in response to our demand letter. So apparently they wanted this to escalate into a federal lawsuit, even though it didn't need to. The YMCA at least gave us the courtesy to respond, but they're not interested in settling either. And I think this is just another example of their commitment to this radical ideology as opposed to common sense, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah. And when you say YMCA responded, but they didn't seem interested in settling, was there anything else in their response that you could characterize for us?
We heard from their lawyer. They said, they don't really have anything else to add other than what's been discussed, out in the world over the last 2 years regarding what happened to Julie, which is really unfortunate. I mean, this is a very simple matter of resolving this, compensating Julie for the harm that they caused and allowing her back into the pool. But they're apparently not interested in doing that. They'd much rather fight this out in court and spend a bunch of money on lawyers, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, Julie, you were seeking, I think, $350,000, but also just an apology and like, hey, let me swim at the pool again. Are you surprised that they weren't willing to at least give you, an apology and let you come back?
We're 2 years into this, and I am no longer surprised by almost anything. It's been a stunning experience.
Yeah, I mean, for you personally, going into now taking it into the realm of a lawsuit, how confident are you in your legal counsel? And how confident are you that you have a good case?
What they're approaching about my right to speak and the rights of women and children to be safe, I have absolutely no doubt that any rational person would vote in the affirmative for both things. Yeah. We once had these rights. It appears that there is a big attempt to try and take them away. And there is nothing for it but to go to the courts. And I'm very confident about what they're going to see and hear.
And Julie, when this first happened, and it first went in the media, you were just vilified by some people out there where you live. And then there was kind of a lull. And then when the claim issue came up, trying to seek damages, then it was back in the news again. How has the vitriol that had been directed at you? Has it waned at all?
I would say that it has. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm wondering if possibly the city and possibly the Y have been advised to tone themselves down a little bit, along with city council. The more of their past behavior, that if they were to continue with that, it seems to me they would just be digging themselves in deeper and deeper. It is a stunning experience to read the exchanges between various council members and the publics and local church people, local officials of all sorts. You just wouldn't believe what this little community is full of.
Unfortunately, I would believe it. Unfortunately, I do believe it. Yeah. Eric, so she's confident in your counsel, obviously. Tell us about the underpinnings of the case.
Right. Well, as we outlined in our demand letter and in the complaint, and this is a very straightforward violation of Julie's First Amendment rights under the U.S. Constitution. The YMCA is a state actor here, a government actor here. I know they're a nonprofit, but they're managing a city pool. This is government property. The city has outsourced the management of this community pool to the YMCA. So the YMCA must adhere to the Constitution, and they didn't do that here. This is well-established case law all the way up to the Supreme Court that private nonprofits like the YMCA can be considered government actors in situations like this. And so therefore they must comply with the First Amendment, and they didn't do that. And this is a pretty obvious violation of the First Amendment here. So we feel very confident in our legal theory here, and that the YMCA and the city of Port Townsend will both be on the hook for what they did to Julie for violating her constitutional rights. And then in addition to that, there's also, as Julie discussed, the defamatory statements that certain individuals within city government made about her publicly, and that the city itself made about her in an official Q&A that it posted on its website, that falsely labeled Julie as someone who had a pattern of code of conduct violations at the pool, which just isn't true. And it painted Julie in a false light and made her out to be this bigoted, problematic person. And all of this is false, and it appears to us to have been done in an attempt to justify this totally ridiculous, over-the-top, irrational decision to completely ban her for life from the pool. This is just, it blows my mind to think that this had to escalate up to this level to a federal lawsuit, when it could have been a very straightforward, act to resolve this by explaining what the pool policy is to Julie. And instead they decided to retaliate against her, ban her, make false statements about her, all for political and ideological reasons.
Yeah. Welcome to Washington State. Eric, is the Center for American Liberty, are you doing this pro bono?
Yes, we are. We are representing Julie pro bono. We do this. The way we're able to do this is because of generous gifts from donors. If they're interested in supporting Julie's case, they can go to our website, libertycenter.org, and donate to Julie's cause.
Awesome. Thank you guys for doing that. I mean, whenever we have cases like this and we had one this week that was just ridiculous, and attorneys stepping up to try to do what's right. Because that's the horrifying thing, right? For private citizens who've been wronged in this way. It's like, well, how am I going to sue someone? How am I going to afford to sue someone over it? What do I do? So appreciate what you're doing here. Julie, I want to end with this. Obviously you guys have your demands, financial compensation, you want to be able to swim at the pool again, and you want them to apologize. But whenever we look at cases like this, you look at what kind of precedents is going to set elsewhere. I guess, is there any larger thing you hope would come away from this if your lawsuit is successful?
The upside of all of this is just how much light has been cast into this particular case and what happened to me, because women have become more and more aware of the fact that they have lost their rights to speak and to be safe and have privacy. We assume these things, and for a long time, of course, we've had to fight as second-class people in this culture. We've had to fight for all of them, and we have had them. And now they have been co-opted by this new ideology secretly. This has not been a grassroots movement. This is something that has come down, and we are discovering that we have lost our rights. I'm speaking up because I'm hoping this helps women.
And I would just ask you, because I'm not sure I've asked you this before, if you're successful, you know, you can't through this lawsuit force the YMCA not to allow, I don't think so, right, Eric, transgender individuals in the women's bathroom. That's not part of this lawsuit asking them to change their policy, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that policy it's not settled that that's a lawful policy that the state, I mean, this is a state regulation that's telling businesses, organizations like the Y that they have to have policies like this. It's not settled that that is a lawful policy, but it's also a difficult legal challenge to bring. And we thought right now it was first and foremost most important to get Julie back in the pool and hold the Y and the city accountable for the violation of her First Amendment rights, her speech rights.
So I asked that, Julie, just to ask, if you win and you get to go swimming at the Y again, you're back in the women's locker room, there's no telling that you won't again have a biological male who's in the women's locker room with you, or while women are showering, or while young girls are in there. How will you confront that situation?
If such a win occurred, I think that opens an opportunity to the city and to the Y and to all kinds of organizations in this community to come together to figure out how to make that old facility work for us and continue to work for us through training the staff, through getting good signage, through adapting spaces so that, in fact, women and children can shower and change in privacy, all within the legal frameworks that are presented to us. This is just an opportunity to be creative and get with the program.
That sounds like common sense, Julie. I mean, maybe have an area where you can go if you're not comfortable with it. So, well, best of luck, and please keep us updated. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Is it really asking so much? Really? She's not saying no transgender people in the pool. She's saying, hey, maybe, you know, they need to communicate on their policies, and we should have an area where women or children who aren't comfortable with a biological man being in an area where they're sometimes nude can have an area where they can go. Some sort of, you know, single stall situation outside the women's locker room. I don't understand why someone like Julie, who's asking for something so reasonable, would be so vilified. Port Townsend, I know not all of you are crazy, but I'm disappointed just generally in the tone about Julie Jahman, who's in her 80s, wants to go back to the pool and swim. Let the damn woman swim. Crazy. But we're looking forward. Thank you again to the Center for American Liberty, her attorney Eric Sell, for taking this case on pro bono, because it could have wider ranging implications if they are successful.